Next, we're moving on to part 3, where we're going to use Alka-Seltzer cut into a 1/2 size tablet and a 1/4 size tablet. This part is usually done with 2 people, so it may look a little bit different as I do it than what it would look like as you would do it in the lab with a partner. So step 1, we're putting a plastic beaker on the scale and we are going to zero out the mass. Next, we're going to take an ignition tube, which is just a large test tube, and fill it up about 1/3 of the way with water. Next, we are going to take this ignition tube, gently place it into the beaker so that it stays still. You've got to make sure. Normally you're going to keep a hand right here so it doesn't fall over. And we're going to take our 1/2 Alka-Seltzer tablet and put it on the scale with the sample. Do not put the Alka-Seltzer tablet into the ignition tube, and record the mass. I have already filled up the sink about 3/4 of the way full. So what I'm going to do now is take my 250 milliliter graduated cylinder and I'm going to completely submerge it in the water. And I have to shake it to get all of the bubbles out. We want no air in this cylinder so that when we flip it upside down, the water is all the way up at the top. So as you can tell, there are no bubbles in here and water fills up this cylinder completely. What I'm going to do next is to take the end of my rubber tubing for my ignition tube and I'm going to stick it into the water up into the graduated cylinder. So I know you can't really see it from here, but you kind of see that the tubing is going into the graduated cylinder. So now, as you can tell, I have my graduated cylinder secured against the edge of the sink. Normally, this is where you will have your partner holding the graduated cylinder. I will put my hand there in a minute once I get everything started, but I'm going to now take the ignition tube that we have the water in, and we're going to put the Alka-Seltzer into the tube and we're going to cap it on top with this rubber stopper. That is going to allow all of the air to catch into this graduated cylinder. Now, as you watch the graduated cylinder, you should start to see bubbles. There you go. And that is all the gas forming from this reaction over here in the ignition tube. You let this run until you no longer see any bubbles going up into the graduated cylinder. And don't fret if it goes past the water line, that's okay, as long as it doesn't completely empty the cylinder. So you can tell it's starting to slow down a little bit now. Because you can pull this cylinder up out of the water a little bit to read the meniscus. So it has officially stopped. Now we are going to measure the amount of volume of gas that we have captured. To finish up the first part of part 3, we're going to go back in, place our same beaker on the scale, hit 0, and now we're going to take our liquid that you did not pour out. This is the Alka-Seltzer and water mixture. And you are going to slowly and safely put it into the beaker and record the new mass. This is the mass of the sample and the water and the ignition tube minus the gas that you collected. So the difference between your original mass and your new mass is the mass of the gas sample that you need for density. Once you've completed the first part of part 3, you are going to repeat those steps with a 1/4 piece tablet of Alka-Seltzer.